Hi, my name is Paul Pasolka, IB Masters Learning Center at IBMasters.com, and today we're going to look at Test 5, Section 1, Number 1, which reads, over the course of the passage, the primary focus shifts from... Now, these shift questions, you might read a passage and be like, hey, there's a shift here, there's a shift there. One thing is, it's asking what the primary shift is. The primary shift, so there must be one primary shift. Now, when you go through the passage, you might say, hey, there's more than one primary shift, and there might be. If there is, there's only going to be one answer choice that matches your prediction. Otherwise, one of the shifts is secondary and the other is primary. Let's go to the answer choices and we'll check the passages for them. Answer choice A, Limey's inner thoughts to observations made by other characters. So let's see if we get his inner thoughts before. And I've already marked this out. In the beginning of the passage, he's describing the restaurant. And then he's describing what he reads in the book. So you might say, hey, this is what he's thinking. And then over here, what he's doing is he's describing the other people who are coming into the restaurant. There's 4 people, a couple of men and a couple of women. And then back here, he goes back to reading his book. And his father shows up. So the answer choice, though, Limey's inner thoughts to observations made by other characters. They're not observations made by other characters. They are his observations of those other characters. So that's why A is definitely not the correct answer for number 1. Answer choice B, an exchange between strangers to a satisfying personal relationship. So if you chose that, what might you have been thinking? And again, I have it marked out over here. Because before this, here are strangers, these 4 people, and then it is his father. So you might say, hey, it's a shift between some strangers to satisfying personal relationship. But we don't get the exchange between strangers per se. We just get that the men laughed more than there seemed to be any occasion for. And we said the women's voices, the terrible, not quite sober pitch of the women's voices. We don't get literally the exchange, and also that's just a couple of sentences from that paragraph. Satisfying personal relationship. It is his dad, but that's not how it's presented in the passage. How's it presented in the passage? We see that he straightens his tie self-consciously when Irma handed him the menu. He gestures with it so that the other 2 women at the next table would notice the diamond ring on the 4th finger in his right hand. And then it goes on to say how he is acting a little bit immature there, trying to impress the women with his ring. Answer choice C, the physical setting of the scene to different characters' personality traits. So we do, in the very beginning, get the setting of the scene, Alcazar restaurant, where it's located, and exactly what the interior looks like. And then we've got a C over here. Now, it is talking about the Emperor of Russia, the King of Prussia, the King of Bavaria, Denmark, and Württemberg, presented as in person at the court of Emperor Francis I, Austrian capital, blah, 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 blah. And then what do we get over here? It's talking about that quote that I just read about the women and the men. And then lastly, we do get the dad trying to show off his ring to those young ladies, or not so young ladies, at that table. So do you get the physical setting, the different characters' personality traits. It's really not a major theme within the passage. It sounds like the men and the women are trying to impress one another or something like that, but it's not really focused on the character traits. Answer choice D, Limey's experience reading a book to the descriptions of people in the restaurant, and that's going to be your correct answer. So we already said that in the very beginning of the passage, he is describing the restaurant, but that only takes up 6 lines. And then he's at the table, and it describes the book, and then he's reading. And so he's reading from lines 19 all the way down to 41. And then it describes this party of four and how it's distracting from him reading the book. He goes back to the book a little bit, and then he sees his father had arrived because he sees this jacket, and it's a description of his father. So it's really description of characters. It's what he's reading in the book and then description of characters, which nicely matches answer choice D, Limey's experience reading a book, to descriptions of people in the restaurant. Thank you for joining us today. If you like this video, click like. You could share it with someone who has difficulty with this type of a question, primary focus shifts. Is there any question you'd like to see answered from any official PSAT or SAT or ACT? Leave that in the comments. I'd be happy to shoot a video on it. And click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Have a great day.